So, Joe, we continue on our path down the very windy road. You know, like we were in the ACC the last couple of days. So last time, 2 times we did this, we hop back to the Big 12. We go to Oklahoma State, which I'm going to ask you if this is true. I have a feeling about something. I think that you like Oklahoma State.
It's probably one of the least excited segments I'm going to have.
Oh, I completely misread
I
that.
love Ollie Gordon. I'm about to have a take that is going to piss you off and piss Oklahoma State fans off.
If you say that he's going to win the Heisman, I am leaving the show.
No, that's not it. Oh, it is the complete inverse of that.
Okay.
What?
You think he's going to suck?
No. Ollie Gordon's my number 1 running back for the 2025.
Well, what's the inverse
draft.
of winning the Heisman? Sucking.
No. I'm saying the inverse. It's not good outlook for Oklahoma State. Look, they are bringing back a lot of key starters. They bring back all 5 starting offensive linemen, 214 career starts amongst the group that is coming back. Ollie Gordon, to me, I think is the most unique running backs in the country. Alan Bowman's a wild card, but I also like Brennan Presley for the plays that he made down the stretch once they got into a rhythm. Here's the take that I think is going to piss everybody off. They don't have a very easy schedule, and they play some difficult opponents in the Big 12. I think it was one of the stupidest goddamn things whoever scheduled South Dakota State as their FCS opponent. And for anybody who wants to come in here and bang on the door and say, what are you talking about, Joe? Are you seriously going to say an FCS team's going to upset Oklahoma State? I don't think that the upset happens, but this was easily one of the worst matchups that you could have picked.
Why?
South Dakota State is a team that is 29-1 and on a ridiculous streak. They are the version of North Dakota State that had multiple massive upsets not that long ago. And some might argue that they're better than that North Dakota State team that we saw 5 or so years ago that had this ridiculous run of national championships. South Dakota State is a maul you, punch you in the mouth type of a team with some really mean offensive linemen and defensive linemen. They are built way better than people think. I'm not trying to pull a card here, Oklahoma State fans. I'm not trying to come up here and say you guys are going to get your asses kicked by South Dakota State, but I know enough about this South Dakota State program to say you can't overlook them. All I'm trying to paint here is that you got to be ready. And if you get past them and you beat them cleanly, I think that that's a really good barometer for success. And you beat them, you cover whatever the point spread is, totally a great barometer for success. But if you struggle in this game and it's close, I think that's going to be very telling of what is going to happen for you in 2024.
So what do you hate about them?
What do I hate about Oklahoma State?
Yeah, because everything that you were saying,
Bowman.
to me,
I don't like Alan Bowman, and I don't like their secondary.
Okay, so let's just attack the offensive side of the football very quickly. Ollie Gordon returns. They have 5 offensive linemen return. Their quarterback returns. Oh, by the way, their 2 of the top 3 tacklers return for the team. My question becomes, Joe, they were in a tougher Big 12 last year and got to the Big 12 title game. I mean, they're bringing a lot back. What makes me believe that same team facing not Texas and not Oklahoma again, well, maybe they do face up. They're not playing Oklahoma next year. Those 2 teams, like not playing those 2 teams, Joe, they were a 10-4 team a year ago. I mean, like, how are they winning? Now, I know that they had a very bad loss early in the season last year with a young team. Well, that team's back. And I got to be real with you. I got to disagree with you on you're going to have to – now, I can be swayed. Let me say it like this. You could sway me to changing my mind on them. But the way that I see it is you have the same goddamn team returning, and then all of a sudden you have a lesser conference that you have to win. Joe, I'm not 1,000% sold at the current moment that they can't win it.
But I see, this is where I disagree. I really just don't think that for Oklahoma State's sake, I don't think the conference necessarily got easier, especially when we look at the schedule that they're handed.
Texas and Oklahoma are out.
Obviously that it's easier that they're gone, but at the same time, they now have to face Utah. In their non-con, they have to play Arkansas.
Would you rather face Utah or Texas?
I'd obviously rather face Utah, but Utah is still a damn tough game. I don't think it's an easy game for them. It's a game that they don't match up well with. I don't think it's a
But
team that they will match up well with
it's
at
still
all.
not Texas.
Okay, just because they're not a top 3 team in the country doesn't mean it's not going to be a really hard game. They got their asses whooped by Texas in the Big 12 championship game. They're going to lose to Utah. Look, I'm not saying that Oklahoma State's going to shit the bed and they're going to go below 500. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just don't see them being a championship contender, as some have discussed them as.
Well, what championship are you trying to talk about?
Big 12 championship. Big 12.
If that's what you're talking about, I fully disagree with you, Joe. I'm still unconvinced of what when you're basically telling me the entire damn team was returning, okay, and what is probably the biggest unit of return being the 5 offensive linemen that are returning. By the way, you have Ollie Gordon returning, and somebody that we didn't even mention in our top wide receivers, the Presley kid who had 101 catches last season. Now, I understand where your concern is, and this is how you roll. I get it. And I don't actually disagree with you on this. Bowman's inaccuracy and ineptitude at times is going to lose them a game that they have no business losing. South Alabama says hello. But are we going to act like that literally at Oklahoma State of all places that we have not seen under Mike Gundy a first-year starting quarterback not get better in year 2? Joe, it has been the epitome of Mike Gundy at any program, taking a first-year starter, developing them better for a second year, and them improving.
Okay, but we need to be more specific in talking about Bowman, because it wasn't just inaccuracy. He was extremely erratic and all over the place. Like, even in the games that they won, like I look at the Oklahoma game, a lot of these times he made some dumb mistakes and he got bailed out by Ollie Gordon. We're assuming that Ollie Gordon goes unscathed throughout the entirety of the season without suffering any injuries. And we got to remember here, Ollie Gordon wasn't the lead back for the first couple of weeks. They were rotating for some weird reason, and we could call into question here some of the offensive decision-making last year by Oklahoma State, okay? But at the same time, all I'm just trying to say here is that, yes, there are some really important, nice players that are coming back, but I think as we've talked about with Utah, with Kansas State, with Arizona, with West Virginia, who we haven't gotten to yet, with a lot of these top Big 12 teams, they're bringing back a lot of similar strengths. Yeah, and I feel better at quarterback of those teams than I do with Alan Bowman. It's not like Alan Bowman is a true junior that is, like you're talking about, in his second season as the starter is going to figure it out. He's on his 7th year. There's nothing else for him to figure out.
I mean, Chris Winkie could have filed for an AARP card when he won a Heisman. Joe, I'm not asking him. Number one, I'm not saying that they're going to be undefeated. I don't disagree with you on Bowman completely. But I think if he limits turnovers and those turnovers do go down and he's less erratic, Joe, you have a team that's competing for a Big 12 title game last year, and they legitimately are bringing so many people back. They're in the top 10 of returning production. Joe, they have 2 100 tacklers returning. Now, I will tell you there is an area that I'm very concerned with them on. You want to know what it is?
What?
They don't have enough pressure after the quarterback. This is the biggest issue that I have with them right now. They have a lot of dudes that are, I don't want to just say good, Joe, but almost elite tacklers. You can't have 3 guys that have 100 tackles plus and not be a very good tackling team. That is unreal. That you do that. You bring 2 of them back, and Nick Martin and Rucker. But the bottom line for me is they are not generating enough pressure on the defensive line or just in general for them to have success long term. If there is something that I worry about, like a team against Utah with Cam Rising, if you can't get to Cam Rising, if you can't get to the kid from Oklahoma or from Kansas State, buddy, you're in trouble. And I got a hot take for you. Joe, it bugged them all last year. They beat Oklahoma because of the pressure they put on Dylan Gabriel. That is the reason why they won that game. They do not have enough production there to be a team that I think shouldn't worry about it. If you label one thing that I'm worried about them the most, more than Bowman, and that's how that it's bad. Joe, they are one of the worst teams in the country last year at getting after the quarterback.
And this was the second fold of my lack of confidence in the, again, eight or 9 win team. I think that's a fine season if you're Oklahoma State, but you bring up second year in their new defensive coordinator who came from Division II Gannon. I think they're Division II or Division III, came from a lower level program in Gannon. If you look at their transfer portal movement, they didn't bring anybody big in to help supplement and boost their defense. Their best recruit on every single transfer portal site was an edge rusher from Gannon University or wherever it is. I agree with you, and that is where I'm a little concerned, because how many times last year did they give up ridiculous point totals to teams that they should not have? And I'm talking about games like where they gave up
South Alabama
45 to UCF. I'm talking about the later stretch where they were supposed to be really good. They gave up 30 points to Houston. They gave up 34 points to BYU, 49 to Texas. They gave up way too much to teams that they were supposed to, that they really should have blown out of the water. I don't know how much better this defense gets, and you've got a relatively unproven defensive coordinator that struggled last year, that didn't bring in any premier talent that makes me feel like they're going to get a lot better. I love their linebacking core. Their D-line's a little bit shaky, and their secondary was really inconsistent last year. So, I feel like there's more balanced Big 12 teams.
I could make the argument their secondary was so shaky because there was zero pass rush.
Yeah, that could go in the conversation.
Legitimately, Joe, they had 2 safeties over 100 tackles. One of them returned. Well, I mean, you can say what you want, Joe, but look, there is one statistic that John Madden used to say about good defensive teams. You know what it was? Your pass rush is not good enough if your safeties are making triple-digit tackles. I'll never forget. You can talk about coverage all the live long day, but you have one of the better coaches. John Madden is a freaking legend. Okay, the bottom line is, Joe, you want to know why those DBs look that bad? Joe, they're not going to cover for 5 seconds. I mean, 6 seconds. It is very difficult to do it. Joe, against Texas, what do? They knew that they had no shot whatsoever at getting to the quarterback. They bailed out. I mean, to some extent, we should say that they try to play prevent after the first quarter was over with. And that's just how they got beat. Now, Duke got a lot of production returning there. It's going to be interesting to see what we see from Oklahoma State. Prediction on their season, I'm going to go 10-2.
Oh, 8-4. I don't know, man. 10-2 is assuming that they beat a combination of Utah, Kansas State, West Virginia, and Arkansas. They beat.
Okay, can I give you my hot take?
Okay.
I don't know if Arkansas beats them. I think we have to come to a very strong conversation about Arky this year.
Well, that's my whole point. I don't think that game's a walkover.
I literally had them losing to Utah and Kansas State. I said,
so you're saying that Oklahoma State beats Arkansas?
Yeah, brother, that offensive line is not good at all. I mean, brother,
okay.
Joe, they're not.
I don't know if I think that game could end up being pretty close.
That's why I'm saying I think they can beat them. A first-time starter going against an experienced coach like Gundy, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at that kid. And I don't think Sam Pittman's ready, brother. I really don't. All right.
They also have to play Colorado at the end of the season too, which is a wild card.
Hot take. If Ollie Gordon is healthy when they play Colorado, he's going to run for 250 plus.
Probably. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.